Rose and her entourage decided to stage a fake emergency at a busy shopping mall. The plan involved Rose pretending to be trapped in an elevator that was malfunctioning, while her friends live-streamed the rescue and her dramatic reactions. They hired actors to play emergency responders and even had fake smoke effects to make it seem more dangerous. What they didn't account for was how realistic their performance would be. Real emergency services were called. The mall had to be evacuated. Hundreds of people fled in panic, thinking there was an actual fire or structural collapse. In the chaos, an elderly woman fell and broke her hip. A child got separated from his parents and went missing for hours. The fake smoke triggered asthma attacks in multiple people. Worse still, one of the smoke machines malfunctioned and caused a real fire that spread to a clothing store, and the fire completely consumed the store before firefighters were able to put it out. When the truth came out, the fallout was catastrophic. Rose wasn't just losing followers, she was facing criminal charges. Fraud, public endangerment, filing false reports, and a dozen other charges I couldn't even pronounce. The civil lawsuits started rolling in immediately. My name is Harold, and for as long as I can remember, I've lived in the shadow of my older sister Rose. Growing up, it was painfully obvious who the golden child was in our family. While I buried myself in textbooks and homework, dreaming of a stable career and a quiet life, Rose commanded attention simply by existing. She was beautiful, charismatic, and had this magnetic quality that drew people to her like moths to a flame. The favoritism started early. I remember when I was 12 and Rose was 15, I had spent weeks preparing for a regional math competition. I came home with a first-place trophy, bursting with pride, only to find my parents fawning over Rose's new Instagram account.
Oh, Rose, you look absolutely stunning in this photo. Look how many likes you're getting already.
My daughter's going to be famous. I can feel it. Hey, I won first place at the math competition today.
Honey, maybe you should apologize.
My trophy sat forgotten on the kitchen counter for weeks before I finally moved it to my room. That was the pattern. My academic achievements were background noise to Rose's social media presence. When Rose turned 16, it was like a royal coronation.
Happy birthday, my beautiful girl. Just wait until you see what's outside.
Come on, everyone, let's head to the driveway. There, under a giant red bow, was a shiny used convertible. The crowd of family and friends screamed as if she'd won the lottery.
Oh my God, are you serious? A car? This is the best birthday ever.
She cried happy tears while Mom filmed her reaction for Instagram. Me? I clapped quietly at the edge of the crowd, wondering if anyone remembered my birthday was 3 weeks later. When my day came, there was no party, no crowd, just a $20 bill shoved into my hand. Here, Harold, buy yourself something nice. Thanks. I spent the evening eating leftover cake from Rose's party. That was my sweet 16. It wasn't just birthdays either. Even vacations revolved around Rose. We had a family beach trip planned for months, something I was genuinely looking forward to. But 2 days before we were supposed to leave,
Guess what? I got invited to an influencer mixer in LA. This is my big break. We have to go.
Of course, sweetheart, the beach can wait. Hollywood doesn't.
this is networking, Harold. It's important for her career. But what about our trip? You promised.
Don't be selfish. This isn't about you.
So instead of relaxing by the ocean, we trailed after Rose through crowded LA streets while she posed in front of murals.
Hold the ring light higher, Harold. Her makeup isn't catching the glow.
Smile, Rose. This one will blow up for sure. I spent most of the trip in the hotel room, finishing essays on my laptop while they lived in Rose's world. To them, I wasn't a son or a brother. I was just the guy holding the camera when her hands were full. When I graduated high school as valedictorian, my parents attended the ceremony, but spent most of it on their phones, helping Rose respond to comments on her latest post. When she dropped out of college after one semester to pursue influencing full-time, they threw her a party.
I'm going to be the next big thing. College is just holding me back from my dreams.
We believe in you, sweetheart. You don't need some stuffy degree when you have natural talent. What about finishing your education? Having something to fall back on?
Fall back on? Harold, you're so negative. Some of us are meant for greatness, not hiding behind calculators all day.
While I worked my way through accounting school, living on ramen noodles and determination, my parents bankrolled Rose's lifestyle. Professional photo shoots, expensive clothes, the latest camera equipment. Nothing was too good for their future star. By the time I became a chartered personal accountant, Rose had indeed achieved a measure of success. She had nearly 500,000 followers across various platforms, brand deals, and what appeared to be a glamorous lifestyle. But up close, it was toxic. She surrounded herself with a rotating cast of sycophants who fed off her success. Friends who only showed up when she was picking up the tab, boyfriends who used her for clout, and yes, even our parents had become part of her entourage. I tried to distance myself from the circus. I had my own apartment, my own clients, and my own life. But Rose seemed to take personal offense to my independence.
Look at my boring little brother. Too good for his own family now that he has some fancy job.
I'm not too good for anyone. I just prefer a quieter life.
Quieter? You mean more pathetic. When's the last time you had fun, Harold? When's the last time you lived?
I live just fine, thanks.
Whatever. At least when I'm really famous, I'll remember where I came from. Unlike some people.
She had this way of making my contentment sound like a character flaw. At family dinners, she'd regale everyone with stories of her latest collaborations while I sat quietly eating, occasionally fielding questions about boring tax stuff. The few times I tried to share something about my work or personal life, the conversation would inevitably drift back to Rose's world. Then things started to go wrong for her. In her desperate attempt to stay relevant and edgy, she began pushing boundaries. She made several videos with what she thought was edgy humor, but they came across as racist and tone-deaf. The backlash was swift and brutal.
It was just a joke. People are so sensitive these days.
Honey, maybe you should apologize.
Apologize? For what? For being real? For not being fake like everyone else?
But the damage was done. She lost thousands of followers, brand deals evaporated, and suddenly the golden child wasn't looking so golden anymore. That's when she turned to me.
Harold, I need your help.
With what?
Content ideas. You're smart. You went to college. Help me figure out how to get my followers back.
Maybe you should consider a different career path? You could go back to school, learn a trade.
Are you insane? This is what I do. This is who I am. I just need one viral moment to get back on top.
Against my better judgment, I found myself brainstorming with her. Maybe it was seeing her genuinely panicked for the first time in her life, or maybe I was just tired of the family drama affecting everyone. If you really want attention, it would have to be something outrageous. Something that gets people talking, but in a good way this time.
Like what?
I don't know. An elaborate prank? Something so unexpected and over the top that it goes viral for being creative rather than controversial.
That's actually not terrible. Thanks, little brother.
I thought she'd come up with something harmless, maybe a fake treasure hunt or an elaborate joke on her friends. I should have known better. Rose and her toxic inner circle took my innocent suggestion and twisted it into something monstrous. For a brief moment, I thought about trying to step and say something to save her from herself, but after being treated like an afterthought for so long, I decided that the better option was to watch it all play out and just enjoy the show. Rose and her entourage decided to stage a fake emergency at a busy shopping mall. The plan involved Rose pretending to be trapped in an elevator that was malfunctioning, while her friends live-streamed the rescue and her dramatic reactions. They hired actors to play emergency responders and even had fake smoke effects to make it seem more dangerous. What they didn't account for was how realistic their performance would be. Real emergency services were called. The mall had to be evacuated. Hundreds of people fled in panic, thinking there was an actual fire or structural collapse. In the chaos, an elderly woman fell and broke her hip. A child got separated from his parents and went missing for hours. The fake smoke triggered asthma attacks in multiple people. Worse still, one of the smoke machines malfunctioned and caused a real fire that spread to a clothing store, and the fire completely consumed the store before firefighters were able to put it out. When the truth came out, the fallout was catastrophic. Rose wasn't just losing followers, she was facing criminal charges. Fraud, public endangerment, filing false reports, and a dozen other charges I couldn't even pronounce. The civil lawsuits started rolling in immediately. The woman who broke her hip, the parents of the lost child, the mall for lost revenue, the city for the cost of the emergency response. Everyone wanted their piece of Rose's rapidly shrinking empire.
This isn't fair. It was just a prank. Nobody was supposed to get hurt.
Rose, what were you thinking? This stunt got so out of hand that you're looking at potentially 15 years in prison and damages that could exceed $2 million.
2 million? I don't have 2 million.
That's going to be a problem. Our parents, who had spent years funding her lifestyle, suddenly found themselves facing financial ruin as well. They had co-signed on some of her business loans and were being named in several of the lawsuits. The golden child had become a liability. But Rose wasn't ready to face the consequences. While out on bail, she came up with one final terrible plan.
I'm leaving the country.
What do you mean leaving the country?
I mean, I'm getting out of here before they can throw me in prison. I know people who can help me disappear.
Rose, that's insane. That'll just make everything worse.
Worse than 15 years in prison? I don't think so. And don't you dare try to stop me, Harold. You've done enough damage with your stupid prank idea.
She actually blamed me for her disaster. After years of being the overlooked sibling, after watching her destroy herself and drag our family down with her, she had the audacity to make me the villain in her story. That night, I made a decision that surprised even me. I called the police and told them about Rose's plan to flee. I gave them her flight information, her fake passport details that she'd bragged about, everything. They caught her at the airport, trying to board a flight to a country with no extradition treaty. The failed escape attempt added more charges to her already lengthy list. When she finally went to trial, the judge wasn't sympathetic. Rose, your actions showed a complete disregard for public safety and the well-being of others. Your attempt to flee the country demonstrates that you feel no remorse for the harm you've caused. I hereby sentence you to 12 years in prison, with the possibility of parole after 8 years.
This isn't fair. I'm not a criminal. I'm an influencer.
You were an influencer. Now you're a convicted felon. The golden child was finally tarnished beyond repair. Our parents, financially and emotionally devastated, had to sell their house and move into a small apartment which they struggled to afford. They barely spoke to me after they found out I was the one who tipped off the police about Rose's escape attempt, which I was honestly okay with. But for the first time in my life, I felt free. Without Rose's chaos dominating every family interaction, without her constant need for attention and drama, I could finally breathe. I focused on my career, started dating someone wonderful, and began building the quiet, stable life I'd always wanted. Sometimes I wonder if I should feel guilty about turning in my own sister. But then I remember all the people she hurt, all the damage she caused in her selfish pursuit of fame and attention. I think about the elderly woman who still walks with a cane because of Rose's prank. The truth is, Rose had been heading toward this destruction for years. I just happened to be the one who finally said enough was enough. My parents still send me updates about her appeals and parole hearings, but I've learned to delete those emails and messages without reading them. I've built a life that doesn't revolve around Rose's drama, and I intend to keep it that way. For the first time ever, I'm not living in anyone's shadow, and it feels absolutely perfect. Thanks for watching.
Don't even start, Monica. You're the worst of them all. Telling your kid to stay away from mine, calling them colorless. Look at you now. Broke, abandoned, and pathetic. I turned to Johnson, who stood silently, his head hanging in shame. Oh, and by the way, I lied to you about helping you financially. Firstly, this house now belongs to me. I bought it. You're all pathetic. You couldn't even buy a house for your parents? Anyway, those papers you signed too? You gave up your rights to Emma and Ethan. You'll never see them again. We're also officially divorced. The room erupted into chaos. They all fell to their knees, begging me for mercy. When Johnson tried to stand up to touch me, I kicked his bad leg and watched him fall on his face. I don't need your fake apologies. You all have 3 days to pack your things and get out of this house. Out of my house. The first time I met Johnson's parents, I knew I wasn't welcome. The comments started small, almost imperceptible, like tiny barbs beneath a layer of politeness.
Oh, I didn't expect you to be so petite. I mean, you white ladies are mostly small, but you're quite the extra.
His sister was worse. She looked at me like I was disgusting.
Do you even eat? You look like you will break trying to carry groceries.
At first, I brushed it off. Maybe they were just being awkward. Maybe they needed time to adjust. When Johnson announced we were engaged, I was elated. He wanted me by his side forever, and I felt like the luckiest woman alive. But that joy was short-lived when he insisted we visit his parents to share the news.
Engaged? Already? Why? I thought you were just playing around with her. A white lady?
You didn't think to consult us before making such a big decision?
Monica, seated on the couch, let out a hypocritical laugh.
Wow, this is so unexpected.
Look, I don't need anyone's approval. Her race also doesn't matter. I love Christy, and we're getting married.
Well, what about Angela?
Yes, what about her?
The name hit me like a slap. I had no idea who Angela was, but the way Monica and their mother asked about her seemed like there was something going on that I didn't know about.
Angela is a lovely girl. She's black. She comes from a good family and she's known you for years. I thought you both would eventually end up together.
I glanced at Johnson, but he looked so angry. It seemed like he didn't want to talk about whoever Angela was.
Angela is irrelevant. I'm marrying Christy.
His mother sighed dramatically, shaking her head.
This is such a disappointment. Angela would have been perfect for you.
I wanted to scream, to shout that I wasn't some placeholder for their ideal daughter-in-law. But I stayed silent, not wanting to be disrespectful. The evening dragged on, filled with passive-aggressive remarks and thinly veiled insults. By the time we left, I was exhausted, emotionally and physically. Weeks turned into months, and their treatment of me didn't improve. If anything, it got worse. They invited Johnson to family dinners without including me, planned events that excluded us, and made no effort to hide their disdain when I was around.
You know Angela still asks about you, Johnson.
Yes, she does. Such a sweet girl. She would have fit in so well with the family, not some white girl.
Every comment was like a knife to my heart. Johnson always defended me, but their words lingered, chipping away at my confidence. Then came the dinner that I regretted attending. Johnson's family invited us over, and despite my reservations, he convinced me to go. When we arrived, I immediately noticed Angela sitting at the table, her smile radiant as she greeted everyone. I'd seen her picture once when Monica tried to prove that she was better, so I recognized her. I felt sad seeing her there. Johnson's family didn't make things any easier. They fawned over her like she was royalty, showering her with compliments and reminiscing about past events.
Remember that trip we all took to the lake? Of course, those were such great times.
I sat there, silent and seething, as they ignored me completely. Johnson squeezed my hand under the table, his silent reassurance keeping me grounded. But then his mother turned to me, a smile plastered on her face that didn't reach her eyes.
Christy, don't you think Angela and Johnson would have made a great couple?
That felt so disrespectful. I stood up angrily and dashed out of the house. I refused to see them after that. Even on my wedding day, when they reluctantly showed up, I refused to talk to them. It made me so angry to see that they had the audacity to bring Angela along. They didn't even wait for the wedding to be over before they left, refusing to take any pictures with us. 5 years into our marriage, Johnson and I already had 2 beautiful children, Emma and Ethan. They were the light of my life, but their existence only seemed to deepen the wedge between me and his family. From the moment Emma and Ethan were born, I knew they'd never be fully accepted by Johnson's parents. Their white skin was a constant reminder that I wasn't the daughter-in-law they wanted.
Why do they look so pale? Why would both of them have your skin color? Are you sure they're even ours?
The insinuation stung, but I bit my tongue for the sake of peace. Whenever the kids were at their grandparents' house, I worried about how they were treated. My fears were confirmed when Emma came home crying one afternoon.
Grandma and Aunt Monica said I'm not pretty because my skin looks like paper.
It didn't end there. Monica, now a mother herself, ensured her child avoided mine entirely.
Don't go near them. You don't want to catch whatever makes them so colorless.
I wanted to fight back, to stand up for my children, but Johnson always urged me to let it go. He assured me that his parents would come around eventually, but they didn't. Whenever the kids made the slightest mistake, Johnson's parents were quick to punish them harshly. I remember walking into their house one day to find Ethan crying, clutching his cheek. His grandfather had slapped him for accidentally spilling juice on the tablecloth. How could you lay a hand on him? He's just a child. You can imagine my shock when my in-laws pounced on me and beat me up for yelling at them. When I told Johnson about it, he completely ignored the part where I said his parents beat me up and only focused on the kids.
They're disciplining them, Christy. You're overreacting.
That word became his shield, his excuse for everything. No matter how much I tried to explain that hitting a child over minor mistakes was wrong, he dismissed me every time. Even when his parents starved my kids for a whole day because Emma broke her lenses, Johnson didn't think it was bad. When they were asked to shovel the snow on empty stomachs, it still wasn't bad. I started to feel like a stranger in my own marriage. Johnson wasn't the man I fell in love with. He was changing, and not for the better. Soon I discovered he was cheating on me with Angela, of all people. I found out through Monica, who seemed almost gleeful as she dropped the bombshell.
You know, Angela and my brother have been spending a lot of time together. She's practically family after all. I hope they expand our family soon and send you out of our lives.
I confronted Johnson that evening. How could you do this to me? To our family?
Angela and I are just dating. Besides, if I want to, I'm allowed to marry more than one wife, Christy. I'm not tied to you alone.
So that's it? You think you can just throw me aside because I'm not who they wanted you to marry?
I'm not throwing you aside. I'm just expanding my family, you know? And you're overreacting.
I couldn't believe the man standing in front of me was the same person who had once fought to be with me. The same person who had promised to protect me from his family's cruelty. I decided that I'd had enough. I couldn't allow myself to be treated any worse than that. So I packed my bags and left with my kids. Johnson and his family didn't even try to stop me. Neither did they contact me after. I was devastated, but I made sure to be strong for my kids. It was tough at first, but with the help of my parents in the UK, I was able to get a good job that provided me with a comfortable house and a car. A year after I left Johnson's house, my life had taken a turn for the better. I was thriving, working hard to build a stable future for my children. Emma and Ethan had gone to be with my parents in the UK, while I focused on ensuring their future was secure. One evening, as I sat in my living room, sipping tea after a long day at work, there was a knock at the door. I wasn't expecting anyone. I opened it and saw Johnson. I didn't know how he located me. He looked like a ghost of the man I once knew. He was so lean, his clothes looked so dirty, and he was crying.
Christy, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let you leave. I'm sorry.
I'd heard that he married Angela only 2 months after I left him and that they were doing well. I was shocked to see him on his knees now, crying in front of me.
I've lost everything. Angela wasn't who I thought she was. She cheated on me constantly. She even brought men to my house. I caught her with one of her lovers and tried to fight him. He beat me so badly that I have to limp forever.
I almost laughed, but he didn't notice.
She took all my money, everything I owned, and ran off with Monica's husband.
That got my attention. Monica's husband? What was the connection between Angela and Monica's husband? I gestured for Johnson to continue.
Angela and Monica's husband had been seeing each other behind our backs. Now Monica and I are broke, living with my parents. Christy, please, I'm begging you. Help me.
I could see the desperation in his eyes, but all I felt was disgust. He ruined our family, betrayed me, and allowed his family to treat me and my children like trash. Still, I hid my true emotions and plastered on a kind smile. I promised to help him, but I couldn't be his wife anymore. He agreed so quickly, and it hurt a bit to know that he didn't want me anymore. Regardless, the next day, I presented him with papers to sign, claiming they were part of the process to assist him financially. He didn't even read them. He signed them all. Little did he know, he had just signed away his rights to our children, as well as our divorce. Afterward, I bought his parents' apartment from their landlord. When the papers were finalized, I decided it was time to pay them a visit. We arrived at the house, and I watched his parents' faces twist in confusion and then horror as I stepped through the door. Monica sat on the couch, looking just as pathetic as her brother.
What are you doing here?
You still hold such bitterness against me, huh? You all treated me like dirt. You treated my kids like dirt. And for what? Because I wasn't the black girl you wanted for your son? Well, look where that got you. Angela ran off with your daughter's husband. Haha, your family is in ruins. Monica tried to interrupt, but I stopped her. Don't even start, Monica. You're the worst of them all, telling your kid to stay away from mine, calling them colorless. Look at you now, broke, abandoned, and pathetic. I turned to Johnson, who stood silently, his head hanging in shame. Oh, and by the way, I lied to you about helping you financially. Firstly, this house now belongs to me. I bought it. You're all pathetic. You couldn't even buy a house for your parents? Anyway, those papers you signed too? You gave up your rights to Emma and Ethan. You'll never see them again. We're also officially divorced. The room erupted into chaos. They all fell to their knees, begging me for mercy. When Johnson tried to stand up to touch me, I kicked his bad leg and watched him fall on his face. I don't need your fake apologies. You all have 3 days to pack your things and get out of this house. Out of my house. I walked out, leaving them sobbing on the floor. Before I left town, I made sure to hang posters of Johnson's parents everywhere, labeling them as kidnappers and human traffickers. A year later, I heard Monica had resorted to sleeping around to survive, only to contract a deadly disease that left her reeking of decay. She'd tried to sell her child off for money, but she was caught and thrown in jail for attempted human trafficking. The child was taken to an orphanage afterward. Johnson, miserable and depressed, struggled to hold down any job. His kidneys failed soon after from drinking excessively, and he died. As for their parents, they ended up sleeping on the streets since they couldn't afford to rent another apartment since I kicked them out. I got promoted at my workplace and was reassigned to a bigger branch in the UK, where I was able to live fine with my kids. Thanks for watching.
Unwilling to spend a cent unless it benefited him directly. To him, money was more than just paper. It was his lifeline, his God, his everything. And because of that, he let my mother die.
David, please. The doctor said I need the surgery soon. They said if we wait too long, it would be worse.
How much is it?
They said around $30,000, but
He didn't even let her finish before he began screaming. 30,000? Do you think money grows on trees?
David, I'm dying.
Then why waste the money? If you're gonna end up dying, why waste money? That was how my father saw it. In his mind, cancer was a losing battle, so spending money on my mother's treatment was a waste. My father was the real definition of selfishness. Not the kind of selfishness where someone takes the last piece of cake without asking. No, his selfishness was something darker, something so rotten and vile that it had the power to destroy lives. And it did. The man cared for no one but himself. He never put anyone's needs before his own, not even his own family. I grew up watching him hoard money like a dragon sitting on a pile of gold, unwilling to spend a cent unless it benefited him directly. To him, money was more than just paper. It was his lifeline, his God, his everything. And because of that, he let my mother die.
David, please. The doctor said I need the surgery soon. They said if we wait too long, it would be worse.
How much is it?
They said around $30,000, but
He didn't even let her finish before he began screaming. 30,000? Do you think money grows on trees?
David, I'm dying.
Then why waste the money? If you're gonna end up dying, why waste money? That was how my father saw it. In his mind, cancer was a losing battle, so spending money on my mother's treatment was a waste. I was just 14 when this happened, listening to my mother beg for her life while my father remained completely unmoved. He refused to pay for the surgery, refused to even consider taking out a loan, refused to show an ounce of humanity toward the woman who had given him everything. She lasted another 8 months after that conversation. 8 months of pain, 8 months of suffering, 8 months of watching her body weaken, while my father acted as if she was already gone. He went to work every day and came back late, leaving me to care for my mom the entire time. Thankfully, my aunt occasionally sent me money to help. The day she died, my father didn't shed a single tear. Instead, he sat at the dining table, eating his usual breakfast as if nothing had happened. How can you sit there and eat? Mom just died. Well, I'm hungry. Besides, crying won't bring her back. Why would I waste my tears then? That was all he said. No sadness, no regret, nothing. After the funeral, he refused to spend any money on a proper burial. The cheapest coffin, the cheapest service, the cheapest plot in the cemetery. That's all she got. I remember standing by her grave, my hands clenched into fists, as I listened to my father complain about the cost of the headstone. $500 for a piece of stone? Unbelievable. She was your wife, Dad, and she's dead now. No need to spend money on someone who won't even use it. I wanted to punch him. I wanted to scream. But what good would it have done? My father wasn't human. He was a machine programmed to care about nothing but his wallet. And that was just the beginning. My father's selfishness extended far beyond my mother's death. It bled into every aspect of our lives. He made a good living, but you'd never know it by looking at our house. The furniture was old, the walls had cracks, and the fridge was always half empty. But that wasn't because we were poor. No, my father had money. He just didn't believe in spending it. He never bought me new clothes, even as I outgrew the ones I had. I went to school wearing shirts 2 sizes too small, shoes with holes in the soles, and a jacket so thin that winters felt like torture. Dad, I need new shoes. Your feet are just going to grow again. No point wasting money. Every meal was the same: rice, beans, and maybe some cheap canned meat if he was feeling generous. While my friends at school talked about the dinners their parents made, like steak, pasta, roast chicken, I sat there, pretending I wasn't hungry. But my father? He ate well. When he went out, he dined at fancy restaurants, eating meals that cost more than our entire week's groceries. I once caught him eating steak in his car while I sat inside, starving because we had nothing at home. He didn't even try to hide it. He just rolled down the window, chewing loudly, and said, "If you want steak, go make your own money." I was 14. And the worst part? He always acted like the victim. If I dared to ask for anything, he'd go on and on about how hard he worked, how he sacrificed so much, how ungrateful I was for wanting more. Do you think I'm made of money? You have a roof over your head, don't you? Clothes on your back? I should be the one complaining. You kids these days want everything handed to you. He loved saying that, as if I ever had anything handed to me, as if he hadn't spent years denying me the bare minimum while hoarding money like a dragon. He never took me to the doctor when I was sick, never bought me birthday presents, never gave me a single cent for school trips. Every penny that entered our house went straight into his bank account, locked away forever. And yet, when it came to himself, there were no limits. His car, brand new. His watch, expensive. His suits, tailored. He would rather buy himself another luxury item than spend a dime on me. By the time I was 16, I had given up. I stopped asking for things, stopped expecting him to ever care. The only thing I cared about was getting out. Because if I stayed, I knew I'd end up just like my mother, dying slowly while my father watched without a care in the world. And I refused to let that happen. The final straw came on my 17th birthday. Not that I was expecting anything from him, but this time, he took it a step further. Happy birthday. Now that you're 17, it's time you start paying rent. What? You're practically an adult. You live under my roof, you pay. That's how the real world works. I couldn't believe it. He wanted me to pay rent? Me? The kid he never spent a dime on? I didn't argue. I didn't even respond. I just nodded, walked into my room, and started packing. Because that was the moment I knew I was done. I was going to get out of that house. I was going to build a life for myself. And one day, I was going to have so much money that my father would regret every single time he refused to help me. I left my father behind. My best friend, Sam, took me in without a second thought. His parents were kind, almost too kind for someone like me who had grown so used to selfishness. They treated me like their own son. Hell, they even enrolled Sam and me in a football academy. It was obvious to anyone who watched us play that we had talent. Sam and I were good, but we didn't know just how good until we started getting noticed. It didn't take long before things changed. We were picked up by a few smaller clubs, and before we knew it, we were playing with the big boys. Our names started showing up everywhere. We were stars. At 22, I was already one of the top 10 richest young men in the country. People knew my name. People envied me. But with all that success came a reminder from my past that I couldn't outrun. Sam and I decided to visit home before my 23rd birthday. We went back to his house, and his parents were so happy. What I didn't expect to see was my father standing at the gate just a few days later. From the stories I had heard, he had dated a woman who realized how selfish he was and discovered he kept money at home. She eventually stole his money and ran away, leaving my dad far less wealthy than before. I see you've made something of yourself. You've got all this money, right? I'm sure you can spare a little. I looked at him, standing there with the same smug, entitled look he'd worn all my life. He had the nerve to act like he was owed something. I'm your father. You should be helping me instead of these gold diggers. I laughed at his foolishness. Gold diggers? If anyone should be called that, it's going to be you. They took me in and took care of me way better than you ever did. You're asking for my money after everything you put me through. You expect me to hand you money like you didn't watch my mother die? Like you didn't make me suffer for years? You're a joke. A pathetic joke. He had a surprised look on his face, like he didn't expect me to say such, but I didn't stop there. I'm not your son anymore. You lost that right the moment you decided I wasn't worth the effort. So get the hell out of my life. I could see the anger on his face when I said that, but instead of fighting back, he turned and walked away, tears welling in his eyes. The next time I saw him was on my birthday. I didn't hear from him, not that I expected anything. I realized you'll be returning soon and I probably might not see you again. Since you said I'm not your father anymore, I deserve payment for all the years I housed and fed you. He forgot about my birthday. What a joke of a father. Sam was getting agitated. You're not getting a single penny from me. You're a damn disgrace and a debtor. You owe me, Andrew. I didn't hear anything after that. Sam and I closed in on him, and for the first time in my life, I didn't hold back. We beat him senseless. He wasn't even able to put up a fight. We beat him up so badly that he almost crawled out of the house after we were done with him. He went to the cops, of course. Pathetic. He tried to paint himself as the victim, but when they called me in for questioning, I didn't even hesitate to lie on his miserable, swollen face. I don't know who he is. I've never seen him before. He's probably one of these fans who are stalkers. What do you want, sir? An autograph? I almost laughed at the shocked look on my father's face. Of course, the cops believed me. They were fans. They didn't even ask for proof. The cops sent him out of the station and took my autograph and pictures with me before I left. A week and a few days later, I saw him driving around in a new car. He must have taken out a huge loan to buy it. I laughed when I saw him parked across Sam's parents' house. He was showing off, thinking I'd be pained. You spent all that money just to look like someone you're not? You don't even fit in that car. How foolish. It only made him angrier. Sam and I traveled back a week later, but before we left, we hired some thugs to steal the car I had seen my dad driving. They parked it at the nearest airport, racking up a huge number of parking tickets. My dad eventually found the car, but had to pay all the parking fees. After that incident, I didn't hear anything from him. Weeks later, news came that he had been assaulted by the loan sharks he owed money to. Apparently, he had borrowed money to buy the car and couldn't repay them after the 1-month agreement. They kidnapped him and beat him until they broke his leg. I couldn't even pretend to care. I laughed. No sympathy, not a single ounce of it. He needed money to undergo surgery since the loan sharks had taken all his remaining savings and their car. The surgery could have fixed his damaged leg, and he gave my number to the doctor so they could call me. Hi, this is the doctor. Your dad needs surgery and he asked me to call you. Sorry, doctor. The only dad I have is perfectly fine. I don't know who you're talking about. Goodbye, I'm busy. I didn't need to know how paralyzed he was. I would help him, but I decided to take his behavior. I decided to be even more selfish than he was, but only toward him. Because he had no money, the hospital kicked him out, and he was on the streets with his damaged leg begging. He deserved to be paralyzed, ignored, and left to die like he did to my mother. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment. What's your name, son? D. David. I haven't walked in years, Pastor. The devil is a liar. Today your chains will break. The music swelled. He laid his hands on my head, shouting prayers. Then came the cue, the one I'd seen 100 times. Stand up and walk. Instead of standing, I grabbed the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, my name isn't David. I used to work for this man. I know every trick he's pulled, every person he's paid to fake a miracle. Gasps. The music cut off. Ushers froze mid-step. Do you want to know how it works? He gives you a list of symptoms, pays you cash afterward, and tells you to act shocked when you're healed. I'm not crippled. I walked in here this morning, and do you know where your offerings go? Not to God, to his pockets, to his expensive suits, his luxury cars, his vacations. The crowd murmured, some angry, some confused. Pastor Gideon's face was pale, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. Ask him about Sister Rebecca's mother. Ask him why she's dead. Ask him about the women, married women, he slept with in this church. A woman screamed from the back, "It's true!" Another shouted, "You slept with my sister!" The place erupted. Cameras were still rolling. This was all live. I dropped the mic and walked right out the front door, leaving the wheelchair behind. It started with the smell of fresh paint and cheap incense. That's what I remember most from my first day working at Pastor Gideon's church. I was 21, fresh out of college, broke, and desperate for any job that would pay the bills. The church seemed like a safe, godly place to work. They had me doing administrative tasks, answering phones, updating social media, organizing events. And Pastor Gideon, he was charming, magnetic, the kind of man whose voice filled every corner of the room even when he whispered. At first, I thought God had led me there, but it didn't take long before I saw the truth. Son, when you post the next sermon clip, cut out the boring parts and keep the miracle healings front and center. People need to feel the power. He winked at me like we were in on a secret. I laughed nervously back then, not realizing how deep the rot went. It was after 3 months that I started noticing patterns. The same miracle healings featured the same faces. I recognized a man in a wheelchair from 3 different services. At first, I thought maybe he had relapsed. Then I saw him standing outside after service, counting cash from an envelope. I confronted one of the ushers about it. "Hey, I saw Brother Matthew walking fine after service. Isn't he supposed to be paralyzed?" "Don't ask too many questions, bro. Pastor takes care of people who help the ministry. You understand?" I understood, but not in the way he thought. Pastor Gideon was paying poor people to pretend they were sick. The blind could see, the lame could walk, all for the live broadcast. The offering buckets overflowed afterward. Weeks later, I understood how everything was done. I'd seen how the scam was run behind the scenes. It wasn't just random, it was organized like a theater production. On Saturday nights, a select group of miracle participants would gather in the church basement. Most were poor folks from nearby neighborhoods, desperate for cash. The coordinator, a short man named Brother Isaac, would hand out ailment cards. One might say crippled for 7 years, another blind in left eye, another cancer survivor coming for final prayer. Remember, look sad at first, no smiling until Pastor lays hands. When he says, "Stand up," you don't hesitate, you jump like fire hit you. They rehearsed it. Gideon would walk up, touch their foreheads, and they'd collapse dramatically before leaping up to test their healing. Ushers knew exactly where to place them, so cameras could catch every tear, every shaky step. After service, they'd file into the side office, where white envelopes full of cash waited. Gideon would sometimes peek in, patting their backs. "God bless you for serving the kingdom." I knew it wasn't God's kingdom they were serving. It was Gideon's bank account. I should have left then. But I stayed another month, gathering proof. That's when I overheard the story that changed everything. A woman named Sister Rebecca had been crying in the office, saying she needed money to take her mother to the hospital. Pastor Gideon told her that God had already healed her mother spiritually, and that her act of faith was to sow the money into the church instead. She obeyed. Her mother died 3 days later. That's when I resigned. I couldn't watch him destroy lives for profit. He smiled as I handed in my notice. "Careful, son. Leaving the anointing is dangerous. God might not protect you out there. I left without looking back, but the smell of that cheap incense stayed with me. Years passed. I moved to another city, got my own business going, and tried to forget. But every so often, I'd see his face online. His ministry had grown. He was richer than ever, selling books, merchandise, even anointed bottled water. People worshipped him like a celebrity. And every time I saw his smug smile, I thought about Sister Rebecca's mother. That's when the idea of revenge started growing. I knew his tricks. I knew the healing list, the poor souls he paid to act sick for the show. So I reached out to an old friend from my church days, someone still on the inside. I pitched it like I was looking to repent and rejoin the ministry, playing the good guy. He chuckled at first, but when I mentioned I had cash and a convincing paralysis story ready to go, his laughter faded. Within minutes, he was giving me the coordinator's number, practically inviting me to buy my way onto the stage. 2 weeks later, I was on the list to appear in a wheelchair during a live broadcast. The morning of the service, I put on my disguise, thick glasses, fake beard, a cap pulled low. The wheelchair was rented. I even wrapped my legs in bandages for effect. Inside the church, it was exactly the same as I remembered. Over-perfumed air, blinding stage lights, and Gideon's voice booming from the speakers like God himself had a microphone. Hallelujah! The Spirit is moving this morning. Who came here expecting a miracle? The crowd roared. My name was called in the second hour. 2 ushers wheeled me forward. Cameras zoomed in. What's your name, son? D. David. I haven't walked in years, Pastor. The devil is a liar. Today your chains will break. The music swelled. He laid his hands on my head, shouting prayers. Then came the cue, the one I'd seen 100 times. Stand up and walk. Instead of standing, I grabbed the microphone. Ladies and gentlemen, my name isn't David. I used to work for this man. I know every trick he's pulled, every person he's paid to fake a miracle. Gasps. The music cut off. Ushers froze mid-step. Do you want to know how it works? He gives you a list of symptoms, pays you cash afterward, and tells you to act shocked when you're healed. I'm not crippled. I walked in here this morning, and do you know where your offerings go? Not to God, to his pockets, to his expensive suits, his luxury cars, his vacations. The crowd murmured, some angry, some confused. Pastor Gideon's face was pale, his mouth opening and closing like a fish. Ask him about Sister Rebecca's mother. Ask him why she's dead. Ask him about the women, married women, he slept with in this church. A woman screamed from the back, "It's true!" Another shouted, "You slept with my sister!" The place erupted. Cameras were still rolling. This was all live. I dropped the mic and walked right out the front door, leaving the wheelchair behind. By the time I got to my car, chaos had swallowed the building. The fallout was faster than I expected. The clip went viral within hours. Former members came forward with stories of manipulation, affairs, and financial exploitation. Someone leaked footage of him rehearsing healings with the actors. 2 days after exposing Pastor Gideon, 2 men tried to break into my house. The alarm startled them, and they panicked and escaped. When I checked the security camera, I could tell they had come to hurt me, and I was sure Pastor Gideon had sent them, but I had no proof. The men escaped before the police arrived. 1 week later, an angry mob stormed his mansion. He fled the state, but the police caught him in another city. The charges included fraud, sexual misconduct, and even tax evasion. When he got to prison, my friend on the inside told me what happened. "Hey, Pastor, why don't you heal my back? Yeah, or make yourself disappear, man of God." They beat him badly the first week. The last I heard, he was scrubbing floors and avoiding eye contact. His cellmate, a tall guy nicknamed Shovel, greeted him by asking for a miracle on his aching knees. "Come on, man of God, make me walk without pain." I can only heal if the Spirit leads." "Oh, the Spirit's leading right now, Pastor." They handed him a cup of holy water, straight from the toilet, and told him to bless the cell. They made him preach in the yard, shouting fake prophecies like, "In 3 days, the warden will disappear." When nothing happened, they beat him up, telling him to try harder. Every day someone would call out, "Hey, Pastor, heal my wallet, or make the food taste better. By the second week, he'd stopped talking about God entirely. The twist? A month after he went to prison, I found out the church's new leadership was even worse. They weren't faking miracles. They were selling prophetic consultations for $500 a pop. It hit me that no matter how many fake pastors you take down, there's always another waiting in the wings. Still, I don't regret it. Sister Rebecca's mother deserved justice. And if I made one person think twice before emptying their wallet for a fraud, it was worth it. So yeah, that's how I took down a millionaire pastor on live TV. Oh, and if you're watching this on YouTube, don't forget to like, subscribe, and maybe send me an offering. Kidding. Keep your money. I don't do miracles, unless coffee counts. I thought she wouldn't ask money from me again, but that was only the beginning. She took more and more, coming up with new ways to make me pay. If I hesitated, she'd lock me outside for hours. If I refused, she'd break something I love, or rip up my cherished birthday letters from my father. One day, she even smashed the only photo I had of my mother.
You're going to give me what I deserve, Elias. One way or another.
And I was helpless to stop her. She locked the fridge at night so I wouldn't eat. She slapped me when I refused to hand over money. Sometimes, she would pour ice water all over my body, or even turn off the fireplace whenever it was too cold. She did all that and more, but she never let me go for good. Why? Because I was still her personal bank. I knew I couldn't afford to keep quiet for too long, else she would lavish all of my money, and I'd have to live life in misery. I waited, and when the time was right, my mother died when I was 8. It was just me and my father after that, and he did his best to be both a parent and a friend. He never missed a school play, never forgot my birthday, and never let me feel alone. He worked long hours, but even on the most exhausting days, he still made time for me. Whether it was helping me with homework, playing catch in the backyard, or sitting with me on the couch, watching cartoons, even though I knew he'd rather be watching the news. He was always there. He cooked my favorite meals, tucked me in at night, and made sure I never felt the emptiness my mother's absence had left behind. Then she arrived. Her name was Vivian. She had a soft voice, kind eyes, and a perfect smile. The kind of smile that made her seem like the warmest person in the world. My father adored her. He smiled more around her, laughed in a way I hadn't heard since before my mother passed. He seemed lighter, like he had been carrying something heavy for so long, and now, finally, he could breathe again. I tried to like her too. She would tousle my hair playfully when she walked past me, humming softly as she moved through the house like she belonged there. Soon, she began sleeping over. She made warm meals, always placing my plate in front of me with an affectionate pat on the head. At night, she would sit beside my bed and tell me stories, her voice soft and soothing, as if she truly cared. For the first time since my mother's death, I thought maybe we could be a family again. I let my guard down. I started believing in her kindness, in the gentle way she spoke to me, in the way she held my father's hand and looked at him like he was the most important person in the world. I convinced myself that she would love us, that she would take care of us the way my mother would have wanted. One evening, my father called me into the living room. He looked tired, more tired than I had ever seen him. His skin was pale, his eyes dull, as if something heavy had settled on his shoulders and refused to let go. He sat with Vivian by his side, her hand resting on his knee. "Elias, I have ALS." I didn't understand at first. I knew it was a disease, but I didn't know what it meant. He explained to me, and I hurts into tears. I couldn't imagine that one day it would take his strength, his movement, his independence. One day, he wouldn't be able to hold a pen or lift a fork or even speak without effort. Vivian squeezed his hand, her face a picture of sympathy. "I wanted to tell you sooner, but I needed time to process it. It's going to be difficult, but we'll get through this together." I cried even more. My father had always been strong, always capable. The thought of him becoming weaker, of him needing help, was unbearable. Then I caught Vivian smiling, while my father was crying with his face buried in his hands. And when he turned to her, she would put on a tearful expression, brushing his cheek like she couldn't bear to see him in pain. I convinced myself to believe that I wasn't seeing things right. After that day, everything changed and began moving rather too fast. Vivian became an even better partner. She took my father to his doctor's appointments, helped him with his medication, and never left his side. She cooked his favorite meals, helped him dress when his muscles grew weaker, and whispered words of encouragement whenever he struggled to do things on his own. And when he proposed despite his failing health, she cried. Vivian told him she would love him through sickness and health, that she would take care of him, that she would never leave his side. When they got married, I was so happy. I stood by my father's side as he said his vows, watching as Vivian gazed at him with adoration. It felt like a dream, like maybe she was the person he needed. After the wedding, she was even better. She would even spend late nights researching ways to improve his quality of life. Unfortunately, my father lasted only 1 year. When he died, I expected Vivian to be heartbroken. Instead, she walked around the house in a red silk dress, drinking wine and singing happily. When I asked her why she wasn't mourning, she laughed.
Oh, Elias, don't be so dramatic. The man is dead. What do you want me to do, kill myself? Hell no.
I couldn't believe those words were coming from her. I can't believe you. Did you ever even love him?
Of course not. I don't do love, sweetheart. I married him for the money, and now I own everything. I can't wait for him to be buried.
She walked away before I could even say anything. I cried my eyes out, realizing my father had unknowingly made a huge mistake. After the funeral, which was only held by myself and her, since my dad and mom had no siblings or parents, I expected her to throw me out. She didn't. And I quickly learned that she was waiting for the will to be read. When the lawyer read the will, I found out my father had left her the house and some savings, but the rest of his fortune was mine, which was over $10 million. I couldn't access it until I turned 21. Until then, Vivian was my legal guardian. I realized that she didn't kick me out because I was her golden ticket. After hearing how my dad shared his properties, Vivian was furious. The moment the lawyer left our house, she screamed and threw a glass at the wall, shattering it into 1,000 pieces.
All of this was supposed to be mine. You think you're so special, don't you? Sitting on all that money while I get crumbs?
I quickly rushed to my room before she hit me. The punishment started immediately. She stopped buying food, claiming I was old enough to fend for myself. I was only 14. Some nights, I'd go to bed hungry, my stomach aching, while she ordered takeout and drank wine in the living room. She refused to buy me new clothes. She even changed my school to a way cheaper one that barely had any good teacher. Meanwhile, she walked around in designer dresses and diamond jewelry, parading herself like a queen. And then came the worst part, which was when her money ran out. I was watching TV one evening when she stormed in, holding a withdrawal slip.
Sign it, stupid.
I looked at the paper. She was asking for $10,000 out of the money my dad had left me. No, I can't do that. You have your own share. I yelled when she suddenly slapped me hard, the force of it knocking my head sideways.
That wasn't a request. Sign this now.
She grabbed my wrist, shoving a pen into my hand. I ended up signing it against my wish. The next day, I saw her receiving a package of new sets of jewelries. I thought she wouldn't ask money from me again, but that was only the beginning. She took more and more, coming up with new ways to make me pay. If I hesitated, she'd lock me outside for hours. If I refused, she'd break something I love or rip up my cherished birthday letters from my father. One day, she even smashed the only photo I had of my mother.
You're going to give me what I deserve, Elias. One way or another.
And I was helpless to stop her. She locked the fridge at night so I wouldn't eat. She slapped me when I refused to hand over money. Sometimes, she would pour ice water all over my body, or even turn off the fireplace whenever it was too cold. She did all that and more, but she never let me go for good. Why? Because I was still her personal bank. I knew I couldn't afford to keep quiet for too long, else she would lavish all of my money, and I'd have to live life in misery. I waited, and when the time was right, I fought back. I reached out to Mr. Langston, my father's lawyer. He had been my dad's best friend, and I knew he hated Vivian because she forbade him from attending my dad's funeral, saying she didn't want any strangers there. I told Mr. Langston that I wanted to put a stop to Vivian's behavior, and he helped me with a plan. The first step was bugging the house. We waited until a Friday night. After she left the house to the club, Mr. Langston came with some men. We planted cameras and microphones everywhere. Of course, she was too dumb to notice. Every insult, every slap, every time she threatened me to get money, they were all recorded. Mr. Langston advised me to play along with whatever she asked, so I would look even more pitiable. Whenever she asked for money, I handed it over without hesitation. She became careless, but I didn't want to get her arrested just yet. I needed her completely out of my life, even when she's in jail. One evening, after weeks of planning with Mr. Langston, I decided it was time. I couldn't keep letting her drain me dry. I walked into the living room, where she was sprawled on the couch, sipping wine and flipping through a luxury catalog. I received something, and I need you to sign.
Unless you'll be paying me 10 grand, I don't care.
Well, this is better than 10 grand. That got her attention. She set her glass down and snatched the envelope from my hand, pulling out the document inside.
What is this?
A contract from one of Dad's old business friends. He's willing to send me some items worth millions. But I can't legally sell them while I'm under your guardianship. So if you sign this, I can move things around faster and you get a cut of the profit.
How much of a cut?
40%. It was a lie, of course, but I knew her well enough to bait her properly. If I'd said 50, she'd think I was lying. If I'd said 20, she wouldn't sign. She skimmed the document, but Mr. Langston had made sure to add just enough legal jargon to bore her.
And you're sure this will go through?
100%. Just a signature, and we can start moving the goods immediately. That did it. She grabbed a pen, scrawled her name at the bottom, and tossed the paper back at me.
Now give me another 10 grand.
I smiled, slipping the contract back into the envelope before giving her the check if the money she asked for. She had no idea she had just signed away her rights as my guardian. And the house? It was mine. Checkmate. One night, she came home drunk. I waited until she passed out. Then, I took her purse, her phone, and called a driver Mr. Langston secretly assigned to me. Take her as far as you can, somewhere isolated. I had her stuff. She would find it so hard to return. By the time she returned, 3 days later, looking like she had crawled out of hell, I had changed the locks. She banged on the door, screaming, demanding I let her in. I immediately called the cops, and she was taken away. While she was locked up, I sued her for fraud, abuse, and theft. Of course, we had all the evidence. The cops discovered that she had unsettled issues with the law before. After investigation, we realized that she had married and stolen from 3 other men before my father. She had been running from the law for years. She was sentenced to life in prison. No parole. Nothing. She was only 28. She had decades to rot in a cell. As for me, with Mr. Langston as my new guardian, I started to live better. At age 21, I took full control of my inheritance. I gave Mr. Langston $200,000 as an appreciation. I found family in his family, and life felt easier. Thanks for watching. Make sure to subscribe and leave a comment down below saying I subscribed, and we will try our best to reply to your comment.